Hey, what's up? Welcome to the Dawson and Denise Show. I'm Dawson.
And I'm Denise.
And today we're talking about the Troy Davis case, but we also want to talk about the issue that has been going on for decades also, with a lot of minority men, specifically, black men on death row. With the Troy Davis case, today he is scheduled to be executed in about
45 minutes.
45 minutes?
Yep.
But, what do you think about this? Because a lot of people, you have people right now in universities who are protesting, people who have protested for years. And it's just so much that's going on that's surrounding this case. And there are people who are black, white, Hispanic, and Asian who are, rallying, for this man to get an appeal.
Well, I have mixed emotions, but if we're going to focus just on Troy Davis and his innocence, I'll have to go with call it off. But as a mother, and like I said, dealing with emotions, or as a daughter dealing with emotions, if I feel that, and perception is reality.
Correct.
If I feel that someone murdered my child, I would push for the death penalty.
Exactly.
But on the other hand, if it's my child that may have killed someone and I feel that my child is innocent, I won't want them to die on death row. So it's like a bunch of mixed emotions that
at this particular point. Exactly, because when I listened to the mother of Mark McPhail, and as she talked, and from what she believes that he is the person who killed her child.
And perception is reality.
But for her, exactly, and for anyone who believes that he did. But when you have 7 out of 7 jurors recanting their their testimony, and the
loophole after loophole.
Exactly, and no one's going back to look at this, to look at this case to really see, okay, let's retry the case, let's reopen, because no DNA was there. This is just basically gone off of hearsay, and it's just hearsay, because the guy said, but it's just at the point now where everybody's pulling out all these last-ditch efforts to fight for an appeal, but basically nothing's happening at this point. But this goes to me because I watched some documentaries some years ago, and I actually talked about this. As you can see, when it comes to topics like this, we always got to come back out to the university. So, our old university.
And I thought I saw some kids protesting, but they weren't.
Yeah, I thought so too, because in colleges around the United States, and several of them, some kids are protesting.
12 Harvard kids were arrested today protesting.
Howard.
No, it was
Harvard?
It was Harvard.
It was Harvard? Oh, okay.
Protesting at the White House.
At the White House? Yeah, there are people right now protesting at the White House. But what about this whole issue? Because I think there are between 45% to 55%, somewhere in there the numbers are, of black men who are on death row waiting for lethal injections or the electric chair.
And they're calling it ethnic cleansing.
A lot of people call it ethnic cleansing because with many of these cases, not all, or even with other cases too involving white people or people in general on death row that committed crimes, like in the 60s and 70s when DNA and all that stuff was not as prevalent as it is now. A lot of these cases are basically gone off of hearsay. And I
can't remember what happened yesterday, let alone 20 years ago. And I go back to this story. I was working at a bank, and this guy robbed me or whatever. So when the police came, I had to give a description of this guy. Now, once I was done, because I was under so much stress and I was so distraught, it looked like Mr. Potato Head had robbed me. But I was picking from this nose, that nose, this. It was just a mess. Okay. And I don't think they ever found Mr. Potato Head or whatever, but it just goes to show you don't know what really happened when you think you do, and it's just a mess.
And our other correspondent who's a part of the Dawson and Denise Show, Miss D, she's texting me because she's Mrs. Political News, and she's saying, what's that?
Oh, they gave him.
Yeah. They have him on watch now because they think that he may try to commit suicide, so they gave him something to sedate him.
And speaking
but
of,
I don't, from what his family has said, from what people have come out and said, I don't think that he's going to try to kill himself.
No, but speaking of trying to, do you know how many times he's probably already died in his mind since he's been on death row for how many years now? He has died so many times over till he may be ready to, he might just be tired.
Yeah, he may just be tired. And the thing is that I would hope from this case and from many other cases is that we don't come years from now to find out that this guy didn't do it, or they pulled this case up and everyone, you know, in the situation is dead, and you know, we find out that it's just not working.
And I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, but.
And maybe they're just afraid to admit their mistakes, afraid to say, hey, I was wrong.
Okay. But here's this thing, with the many of black men who are on death row, this seems to be a lot. You said we read an article where people were saying this is ethnic cleansing. But when you think about the plight of not only black men, but Hispanic men within these United States, what is it that, I mean, because there are so many black men and Hispanic men that are in jail. There's so many of them that are in prison as well. And this seems to be, I remember I was watching another popular YouTube program, and they were talking
more
to the young...
popular than us?
Yeah, very more popular. The Young Turks. Shout out to the Young Turks. I love them. And, you know, they were talking about how they did an article, this lady, and we talked about that. She said the amount of black men who are in prison now is close to, I guess, the number of slaves that were in the 18, was in like 1820 or something like that.
Because they're building more jails than they do schools.
Which seems to be a problem. But like I said on this show, I work with young people, and I understand, you know, if you commit the crime, you have to do the time, but let that be fair. I mean, don't send somebody for selling crack. You know, you got 25 years, and the person with cocaine, you get 5 years because you live in Scarsdale. That's not the right thing to do. But it's like, I mean, I don't think the former.
It has a lot to do with money, because if he had the right amount of money, maybe he could have hired the best defense attorney. But since he had nothing, they give you whatever they give you.
Exactly.
And you think this person really cares? You think this person really took the time to look, especially back then, to look into your case and worry about you or going on the death row? No, they want to take whatever plea they can take to make their cases still come out on top. So
it's just something you know, and like I said, for Marge McPhail's mother, I definitely understand. And from her interview, she just wants us to be behind her. She did state that she has not forgiven Troy Davis. She does believe he is the one who killed her son. She said one day she may forgive him, but I mean, that's typical. I understand that. Because
as a mother, I understand.
I do too. I understand
her pain, and as the mother of Troy Davis, I understand how it can go both ways. That's why I say it's mixed emotions right now.
It's mixed emotions, but no matter what happens to this, I just hope that, you know, people just continue to do the right thing. I mean, there are situations that have happened years ago where people, you know, did go, you know, they were on death row, and because these new law students came out, you know, these younger law students came out, you know, and
speaking of that, I'm glad you brought that up.
And opened cases and found these people they didn't commit those crimes because there was no DNA and things were plotted on.
The people that were helping him back then, they end up cutting that department by 70%. So then the staff went down. So when they were trying to, I guess the first or the second time when he was put on for his second sentence. So
wow.
He was being helped and staff get cut.
Yeah. But, you know, the whole thing with this, I just think, you know, when we talk about, you know, black men being on death row, white men on death row, period.
Death row.
You know, death row, period. I mean, Angola, I think that's the prison. We got our little friend here. You okay? You okay?
Because she's making me
I know.
upset.
You know, when we talk about these men who are on death row, and I think it's Angola or whatever, that prison in Louisiana or somewhere down south, you have this prison where so many men, once you get sentenced there, you're sentenced to like 80 years. So that is where you're going on death row. You're gonna die in Angola.
And I heard it costs more to
it
put
costs
someone
it
to
costs
death
a lot
than it does to keep them there for the rest of their life.
Exactly. But I mean, just to keep them, it's a lot. It's a lot. And like you said, they're building more prisons. But then on the other side, I can say this: don't commit crimes. I mean, if something is put on you falsely, and there have been things that have been proven to be false, where people have pointed people out, said this just to close the case. You know, so I mean, those things we definitely have to work for. But then again, there are people who are on death row for doing what they did.
But try to prevent it as much as you can.
Try to prevent it as much as you can. But what do you feel about the death penalty? I mean, are you for it?
I told you, like we said in the opening, I'm for it when it happens to my child, or when it happens to...
And you have proof that this person
Yes, and I have proof that this person did it. I do believe in an eye for eye. If you rape my daughter and left her for dead, I would want to inject you myself.
Exactly, and that's how many people feel. But then there are these, other groups, not only religious groups, but other people who feel that it's inhumane, or
And I feel it's inhumane for you to rape my daughter and cut her throat and throw her body in the water.
Yeah, but I've never
that's just
actually
my
thought
opinion.
about it, because I really don't plan on going to jail or prison. And I feel sorry for anybody that has to go. I obey the law. I do what I have to do, and and I think that's what a lot of people need to. Of course, there are people, like I said, things get, people can pick you out of a crowd and say you did it and you were in jail or prison for years and years and years fighting to get your good name. I mean, it's a lot of cases like that. But this whole Troy Davis case is just a lot of mixed emotions from all different people, nationalities, race and whatnot.
We pray for both families.
Yeah, for both families. This is not a so-called against the victim's family or anything like that, because many of people are saying since they don't have enough evidence, who really is going to be the victim of this whole thing? So
both of them, I believe. So
well, who knows? But
yep.
that's
just our take on it. We just had to.
That's just us weighing in on this, and our correspondent, Miss D, she just keeps sending me all these text messages. It's an hour away. Now it's an hour away, so who knows? But y'all take care, be safe, live your life, and obey the law.
That's all.
Exactly. And love everybody. And just don't be this one-sided people. Just love everybody. Seriously.
Like we do.
Peace.